Facebook. How you all doing today, man? Good night, good night, good night. I know I got a late start going, and I do apologize. I'll tell you, it was a long day. Had a lot of personal business to get done while I'm in Nassau. And yeah, it took a while to get a lot of it done. But welcome to day 7 of 40 days to home ownership. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys so much for following. Thank you for taking notes. Thank you for asking questions. And thank you for your support and feedback. If it's been helpful, if it's been beneficial, please, yes, like, comment, but don't forget to hit that share button. Don't forget to tag somebody in it, because somebody need to hear the message. It needs to get out there. And like I tell you, 2018 is our year to own real estate. We are going to have more Bahamians in their homes because of this than any other year. That is the plan. That is the goal for this year. And we got to go big because, I've learned that it takes just as much effort to go big as it does to go small. So why go small? Today's video, what I want to touch on is the benefits of building out of pocket. Not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to complete the home out of pocket, but just the benefits of building out of pocket. Because, regardless of however the end comes, some means may be better than others or easier to deal with than others, but definitely the end of the matter is what we're looking at. And the end is you owning the real estate. Now, we're talking more about a home, but also it could include income producing property, apartments or alike. But definitely, if you are going to build out of pocket, there are some benefits. And I just want to touch on those benefits because I don't think I had an opportunity to do so on previous videos. But number one, land prices. Typically, to buy a vacant lot in any area is definitely going to be cheaper than buying a lot with a building in the same area. That's just natural. If it has a structure on it, the structure brings more value, and more often than not, it'll go for more money. So, we have persons, maybe if you go to be pre-approved, you may only be pre-approved for so much, maybe for $60,000. And you know that with that $60,000, you don't want to buy something that's going to be a tear down or too much of a fixer-upper. But you definitely want to put it someplace that is going to have more value. And you decide that you want to buy a lot and begin construction on it. That's fine and that's good. You have started and you now own real estate when you buy the land. Where do you go from there? Well, maybe you are able to build the house from ground up straight out of the bank. You may not want to do that right away. Number one, it's from a construction standpoint, it's cheaper for you to get the home at least to a certain point before you go to the bank and borrow so much money. Why is that? Because the foundation of the home, let's take for instance, let's talk about maybe a typical size, maybe a 1,500, 1,200 square foot home, something relatively small. You could, out of pocket, probably get the foundation completed for about, let's just give, a better number, say $7,000 to $9,000. Out of pocket, you could have a solid foundation completed. All the roughing in place, everything poured, leveled, completed, plumbing ready. $7,000 to $9,000. That same foundation, were a contractor quote you to complete it from ground up, you're going to be looking more around, say, $18,000 to $35,000 easily. So you're talking about more than twice, in some cases up to 3 times the cost just for the foundation part of it. You can find a mason, and make sure it's a qualified mason, who can do work for you, and they could lay the block for a very reasonable cost. I don't want to just throw prices out there and then, person take my word for gospel and then they go and, I don't want to make life hard for persons who out there hustling. They could go their own prices. But definitely, a qualified mason, especially if they can show you work that they've done before, you can negotiate a very, very good price and they could lay blocks for you for a reasonable cost. If you buy the blocks, if you lay aside if you spend $200 to $300 a month on blocks, you're going to have a whole lot of blocks before the year is out. I want you to believe that. You're going to have definitely in up to maybe a year and a half time the most. If you're spending $300 a month on blocks, you're going to have all the blocks that you need to build your home. So this avenue takes some patience. You're going to definitely have to have patience with doing it, but always do it with the end in mind. So let's throw some figures out there. If you pay in Albuquerque, I believe it's maybe around $255 or so a block. You buy your blocks and you get a mason who's going to do it, who's going to lay the block for about $1.50 a block. I have my calculator here. So let me get some figures together so that they wouldn't be totally guessing. But I like to show proof of certain things also. So if you're looking at $255 per block, and that's the cost of it, and then you get somebody to lay it for $1.50 a block, you're roughly looking at purchase and completion $4.05 per block. So if you multiply that by, well, it's not going to be 5,000 blocks. But let's just, if we even go at 5,000 blocks, you could get easily up to belt cost for around $20,000. $20,000. Now, there would be some additional. So you would say maybe $25,000, $26,000, $27,000. Even if you round it off to $30,000, we're talking about 5,000 blocks. $30,000 would get you from ground, nothing on the ground, straight up to belt cost. $30,000. You can't beat that. That's what you're going to pay to do the foundation only, basically, if you were to get quoted by a contractor who's going to build the house from ground up. So definitely that's one of the great benefits, because a financial benefit is always a good benefit. So if you're thinking about going about it that way, make sure you complete as much of the home as you can out of pocket. If you know people, by all means, take advantage of your relationships. If you know carpenters, if you know masons, if you know plumbers, if you know electricians, take advantage of your relationships. Don't get this thing, well, I don't really want to ask nobody because, people is be busy. No. If you've done good for people, especially, people are oftentimes looking for an opportunity to return that good that you do. So if you know somebody, ask them, hey, could you come and help me? I'm building my home. How much would it cost you to do this? Stop being afraid to ask for prices to get things done. Take advantage of your relationships and use them so that you can get the things that you need to get completed, done. Because people are not all against you. A lot of people out there want to see you make it, want to see you succeed, and would love to help you. So don't be afraid to ask. So you're looking at $30,000, and roughly to get up to that point, you could get very close to $100,000. You could get easily, it could cost you $60,000 to $80,000 to get to the belt cost part of the home. Typically, if you were constructing a home 12 to up to 1,500 square foot or so, it would cost you 3, maybe 4 times more if you go through the contractor. So as much work as you can get done out of pocket would definitely benefit you. So if you look at you could break it down. If you say, okay, I want to be in my home in 10 years. I don't want to owe the bank for it. Then you calculate what it would cost you, and then you break that price down year by year. So if you look at, okay, it's going to cost me about $120,000 to get into that home, you're looking at basically $12,000 a year. to get into that home in 10 years. Now, keep in mind that prices do go up every year. You have inflation and prices increases and labor costs would go up. But it wouldn't go up by that much, especially if you're going to have the value in the home. So definitely do the calculation and break it down. $12,000 a year breaks down to basically $1,000 a month. Now, if $1,000 a month is completely out of your range, divide that by 2. You don't necessarily have to do the plan for 20 years. But when you start and you say you can do $500 a month, it's definitely a great start. And you're going to see that as you get going, things are going to get easier for you to do. You're going to find some good deals somewhere. Persons are going to be able to help you, and it's going to cost you less money. And all of that is going to be a benefit to you. Secondly, apart from that particular cost, legal costs are going to be less. In essence, a home where property would cost you around $80,000, and this is more so for Nassau. Typically, if the land, is going to cost you around $80,000, then you're going to see the homes really start, at $250,000 and above, $250,000 and above. Stamp duty on $250,000 plus VAT. Can't forget the VAT. You got to bring the VAT money. So you're basically looking at 10%, 2.5 plus 7.5, round off to 10%. So a $250,000 home, you're looking at between stamp duty and VAT, that's $25,000. Now, yes, you and the seller may split the cost in half, but in some cases, if the seller is looking for a net purchase, you would have to foot all of that cost on your own. That's not the legal cost. That's just VAT and stamp duty. 10% of the cost, that's $25,000. Versus purchasing the property for $80,000, you don't pay VAT because it's under $100,000. And the stamp duty also wouldn't even be 7.5%, because it's going to be less. Because stamp duty, I don't remember the exact figure, but stamp duty at certain points, under $50,000 then you pay a lower amount, maybe about 4 to 6%, and it goes up based on the amount. But I would need to confirm that for you. But definitely from a legal standpoint, since the lawyer is going to be the one to ensure that the VAT is paid on your behalf, you're going to give them the money. They're going to cut the checks. So VAT is paid, stamp duty is paid, recording fees are paid, search fees are paid. They take their monies out. The lower the cost at the beginning of the transaction, the better for you. You're going to save more monies. So this $25,000 wouldn't even be a factor. But once you complete the home, you would still have the same value of $250,000 plus. But they don't come back afterwards and say, hey, you completed the home. It's now valued $250,000 plus. You're going to pay us the rest of the stamp duty on top of that. No. When the purchase is complete, you pay your stamp tax on what you purchase for at that point. So, sometimes it is better to buy at a lower cost, and that way the lot would definitely be cheaper than buying the home, because your legal fees would be less, because legal fees also would be determined on whatever the selling amount is. They charge on that. If it's a mortgage, then they also charge based on completing the mortgage. Less than 1%. For example, you're looking at $2,500 on $250,000 versus $800 on $80,000. Let's just say, given a rough idea, if a lawyer were to charge you 1% for legal fees, on $80,000 it would be $800. On $250,000 it would be $2,500. So you can see that there are some financial benefits with purchasing the lot rather than outright purchasing a home. But you're going to have to remember that you would have to exercise the patience it takes to complete a home during construction. Now, obviously, again, the next benefit is the fact that you get to determine the layout of your home. You get to build the home totally to your specification, to your desire, to please you the way you want it to be built. You get more say over that versus tearing down a home or doing complete renovations on the inside of an already completed structure. So while both may have their benefits, we're just focusing now on what are the benefits of actually building out of pocket. So now you can determine whether you want the home to be a split level. You can determine whether you want, how you want your bedrooms to be laid out versus the bathrooms, and whether you want a master, whether you want two masters. You get to control the layout. You get to choose your plan. So that also is a great benefit, because there's nothing better than being pleased with your finished product. Nothing better than being pleased and getting exactly what it is that you want. And when you build, you get to decide what it is that you want. So just wanted to touch on those points. You can also take your time. Another benefit, of course, is once you own the land, land also increases in value. So at any point you would wish to go to the bank, if you don't have cash to put down, you've owned the land, you build equity in it each year. Hopefully the value goes up exponentially. In some cases, like in Freeport, we've seen where values actually drop. But in Nassau, we haven't seen any drops to talk about in terms of land values. So you get to build equity so that if you need additional funds or an additional down payment to go to the bank, if you get tired of the building process, if you run out of patience and you want to complete it, you would have so much equity in your home. Because keep in mind, as you make each monthly payment, your principal decreases, meaning the amount of the loan decreases. So when the amount of the loan decreases and your equity goes up, that room, you have room now that is cash. There's cash sitting in your property, because that value can be converted into cash. That's what we call equity. You now have equity that you could use as a down payment, and the bank accepts equity to do almost anything. Like you could say, hey, I have a property, you could hold it, I want to buy a boat, I want to build a casino, I want to build apartments. It doesn't really matter. Equity is good and marketable. So you can say, hey, okay, I have good value on my property. What else do I need in order for me to complete construction on my home? Well, if you have equity in that property, depending on the amount of equity, and I've seen this happen in many cases, you could have so much equity that you don't have to bring another dollar out of your pocket. That equity could be enough to cover your full down payment, legal costs, and some persons have enough equity in their property depending on where they buy. Because I've known of persons who bought property dirt cheap. You talk about almost anywhere in Nassau. You know, back in the 80s, persons were buying property for $4,000. Yamacraw area. You ain't buying no property for $4,000 in Yamacraw area now. So you can imagine if you had bought the property for $4,000, now 20 years later you say, I want to do something with it. That property alone is going to value over $100,000. So if you have $100,000 cash, equity cash, same thing. You have $100,000 in equity that could readily be converted to cash. You could pull out that lump sum and you control how that money operates. So let me break it down again. If you go to the bank and use a contractor, the contractor is going to provide a quote to the bank because you can't provide the quote. You would have to get the contractor to provide the quote to the bank. They say $25,000 to do the foundation, $40,000 to get up to the belt course, $50,000 to complete the roof, and another $60,000 to do all of the work on the inside or what have you. So you get a total round figure. Okay, that's a lot of money. But if you could go there and you say, okay, you have this piece of property that I got some years ago, and persons who bought property in Central Pines, they could attest to this because they've seen the benefit of increasing equity. I will tell you that. So you go to the bank and you say, you have this property, I've had it for a while now, the value has gone up, I like the round figures, to $100,000. The bank would say, okay, we can lend you $80,000. You could imagine now that $80,000, you now control how that goes. So you could imagine knowing a mason, knowing a carpenter, knowing an electrician, knowing your plumbers, knowing everyone who's going to do the work to your house, and you have cold, hard cash to play with. That $80,000 could go so far, I mean such a long way, it'll be unbelievable. That's what you call magic. Cash in hand. Oh, when you have cash in hand, you could do so much with it. Like, people don't run from money. People love money. You know, I know the Bible says, you know, you shouldn't love money. You know, it says the love of money is the root of all evil. I understand that. But it's put in there because people love money. So if people love money, then use the money as a means to get the things that you need done. Use it as an advantage. Don't just, you take, when you read things, get the knowledge from it. Don't just read it for what it is and say, oh, I shouldn't love. Okay, the fact is that there are a lot of people who love money. And if you give them money, you can get them to do almost anything that you want. Because they don't care about you, but they'll do it for the money. So, rather than having to pay all of this money to the contractor, who I'm not saying the contractors are not worth their prices, mind you, you have very good contractors out there. They know their work. They do excellent work. This is nothing against contractors. This is just purely, knowledge to explain how you can save some money. Even with contractors, if you get a contractor and you are putting cash in his hand, you know, it's easier to get a discount giving him cash to work with right away, rather than him having to wait and go through the bank, wait on the bank to cut checks, wait on this protocol, wait on this other thing. So cash in hand would get you a very, very long way. Trust you me. So those are the benefits that I have today for you for buying land, property, and then constructing out of pocket. Trust me, the list is not exhaustive. But there would be more, but it's a bit late. You know, my mind is a little tired. I've been going all day, like I say, and I need some rest. But definitely, there are benefits either way that you go. Whatever it is, just don't make the excuses and not do it. That's what we want to avoid. This is not going to be the year that we hold back. This is going to be the year that we move forward. You know, don't be afraid to make the mistakes. Don't be afraid of the responsibilities. You know, I learned something serious about responsibility. And I look at, the people we call Joneses. And they have no responsibility, They don't have to worry about getting up early in the morning to bed and go to work. They don't have to really worry about getting their children ready. And they don't have to hit their head about traffic. And they have to be at a certain time. And they can't get their vacation. Or they can't get their time off and they feeling sick. No, they get up and when they ready, they do what they want to do. They don't have to worry about light bill, phone bill, cable bill, no bill. They ain't got to worry about that. They don't even have to worry about people asking them for money. They don't really have to worry about that. But is that the kind of life that you want? If you want the good life, you're going to have to get used to taking on responsibilities. You're going to have to be a responsible person. And the more responsibilities you are able to take on, the better your life would be. Really and truly, that's just how it is. You look at persons who do a lot. They are in everything, and then you wonder why they seem to be so blessed. They're in every club there is. They're in every children organization. They're in every church program. We see the same people doing everything everywhere, and then we wonder why things work out for them. Because they're used to taking on responsibilities. When you're a responsible person, people entrust things to you. And people would pay you to entrust their things to you because you are responsible. But the person who ain't doing nothing, you really can give your valuables to someone who ain't doing nothing? So if you ain't doing nothing, don't be surprised when people ain't asking you to do nothing. People don't want to waste time with do nothing people. But the ones who are not afraid to take on responsibilities, they are the ones who get blessed in life because they are not afraid to work. They are not afraid to labor. And that's what we're doing. We're changing people's minds in 2018. We're getting people ready to work and not just work hard, not just work for working's sake, but work with a mind to get things done, to do it the right way. We're working smart so that we can achieve the things that we want in 2018. Thank you guys for watching. This is day 7. We have completed an entire week so far. 40 days to home ownership. Like I tell you, I'm feeling good. We got 33 more days to go. 33 more topics. We can do it. We can cover it. Keep following. Keep watching. You are going to be in your home in 2018. If not, definitely because of 2018. But if you follow for the 40 days, you guys last night. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening.